Have you been struggling to find the best classes in Call of Duty Black Ops 6? Well, worry no longer, because this video has you covered. In this video, we're going to be going over the best weapons, the best attachments, perks, field upgrades, equipment, and everything in between. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to use to shred in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And really, it's not that difficult. Once you know a couple of attachments, how they work, what they do, you're really going to be able to figure this out for not just the weapons that I'm showing you, but really all of the weapons in the game. One other thing that I'll say is, in this game, you unlock things at a pretty late level. And when you do, you're probably not going to use those too often. So for example, one of the best weapons in the game is the AS Val. It's unlocked at level 55. So I'm not going to make a best class for that weapon in this video. Maybe like a couple weeks from now, once people have prestige bumps, or maybe use permanent unlock tokens, we'll have that. But these are going to be focused on like predominantly what most people are going to be using while leveling up through the prestiges, so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's dive into the loadouts. So as far as my loadouts go, I have an AR loadout, I have an easy SMG to use, the best SMG, the time to kill SMG, and the most underrated weapon in the game, at least in my opinion. Now, as far as a general class setup, as far as your pistol and melee weapon, honestly, it doesn't really matter. The only time I'm using the pistol is when I run out of ammo. My tactical, however, is incredibly important. By the way, I still use the 9mm PM. It's the only pistol I've been using, so I would recommend that one. It's pretty good. But tactical stim shots, do not use another tactical other than stim shots. They are so good, they're bound to get nerfed. Basically, they auto-regenerate, so you get them over and over and over again. And on top of that, there's just really nothing else in this that's going to keep you alive like a stim shot is. It's so good, and probably going to be one of my first permanent unlocks after one other item that I'll show you in a minute. As far as your lethal goes, I recommend using the frag or semtex. Semtex sticks to things, and frag, well, you can cook with frags. Then we have our field upgrades. So there's only really like 3 field upgrades I'd recommend. Assault pack is one of them. I do run out of ammo a lot, so assault pack is there for that. War cry is another good one that you might want to use with your SMGs. You rally your team and improving the nearby ally movement speed and health regeneration, so that one's kind of fun. Acoustic amp, making footsteps louder, or sleeper agent. It's fun. You get to pretend to be an enemy. Pretty straightforward. But then we run into our perks. So the number one most important thing when creating a class is your wildcard. Perk greed is so insanely good, and if you don't have perk greed, gunfighter, where you get to use 3 extra attachments, is probably the next best one. But perk greed, it is hands and feet above the other items in the game. You unlock it at level 54 though, so once you prestige, use your first prestige token on perk greed, no question about it. Now, the next most important thing after that is your combat specialty. So let me move over here, and as far as your combat specialty goes, there's really 2 that I would focus on, either the blue one or the red one, Enforcer or Recon. If you're a worse player, or I think if you're using longer range weapons, Recon's probably better for you. When you spawn, you're going to see enemies through walls. As well, on top of that, it'll also give you a HUD indicator when someone is looking at you from out of your field of view, which in my opinion is really, really powerful. Now, the perks that I use for this one is in perk 1, you can either use Ninja or Ghost. I prefer Ninja. Then Forward Intel. This perk is actually probably one of the only good perks in perk 2. Then we have Vigilance for perk 3. I just don't need Cold-Blooded. And then for your perk greed perk, you can really use anything that you want, but I find just as a singular perk, the best perk in the game right now, at least, is probably Tac Mask, just because everyone's using concussions, everyone's using flashes, so that's going to counteract that. But there's a ton of other perks you can use in here. That's just the one that I have been using. So whenever I want to use the blue combat specialty, I'm going to be using those perks. So then when I'm running SMGs, I tend to run red perks, because this is going to improve your movement speed, things along those lines. So first off, in my perk 1, rocking Gung Ho. You can also choose dexterity if you want to. Then once again, forward intel in the 2nd slot, double time in the 3rd slot. Bankroll just doesn't do as much. And then finally, with your perk greed, you're going to use dexterity, or you can use any of the other red ones, but I recommend dexterity. Reason being, bruiser and assassin suck, so you might as well use something better in the 2nd perk then use your other perk greed for your other red perk. At least that's what I see. So those are the perks that I use. When using these perks, I'm going to refer to them as the red perk setup and the blue perk setup, just to keep things simple. Now, let's move into our weapons. So starting off with what I believe is the best assault rifle in the game, best all around. It has a little bit more recoil, but does really high damage. That is the AK-74. This thing is really, really good. And as far as the attachments that we're going to use on this thing, I'm going to go over to this side. First of all, you're going to use whatever reflex or whatever sight that you prefer. The Merlin Mini or the Volchevsky reflex, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, are the two that I like. I just don't like the iron sights on this weapon. Then on top of that, we're going to rock the Ranger foregrip. This one is going to improve your horizontal recoil, which is really good, but also some movement properties of sprinting move speed, which is actually really good. Extended Mag 1. I never use Extended Mag 2, and I never use Extended Mag 3. Reason being, I find that this gives you enough ammunition, and if we go down to Extended Mag 2, it's going to make your aim down sights time worse, your sprint to fire speeds worse. Same goes with the Extended Mags 3. Extended Mag 1 doesn't. It just makes you have more ammo, which is incredibly powerful when there's no downsides to it. Also, there's 3 grips, all of which are incredibly powerful. Pretty much on every single weapon that you use, you're either going to use the Commando grip, which is going to give you better aim down sights and sprint to fire speed, or the Ergonomic grip, which is going to give you aim down sight speed, but also faster slide to fire speed and dive to fire speed. So if you're a really aggressive player, you're going to use that, or the CQB grip, which is your sprint to fire speed with the same thing. If you are a basic player that doesn't slide, doesn't dive much, Commando grip is better. So if you are sliding and diving a lot, the other two are better. It's just based off of how you play. And then finally, one of the best attachments in the game, recoil springs. Whenever you run into trouble on a weapon and you have too much recoil with it, just put the recoil springs on it. It's that easy. In our second class, we have what I believe is the easiest SMG to use in the game, and that is the C9. Think of this as the MP5 of the game. As far as attachments on this one, the one that I'm going to be using a lot on pretty much all of my SMGs and some other weapons as well is the long barrel. This is going to extend the effective damage range of this weapon. See the little numbers underneath the character there? Those are the numbers that it extends. So it's one of the best attachments in the game. There's really no downsides to it. So I definitely recommend using that long barrel. After that, once again, Extended Mag 1, either the Ergonomic grip, Commando grip, or CQB grip. But I will say, when I'm using SMGs, I do prefer the Ergonomic grip. And then we have no stock on this one because I find that this thing really doesn't have bad recoil, so I don't need another attachment to make my recoil better. But I do use the recoil springs because that one alone is enough, allowing me to use something like no stock for better movement. However, if we look at another SMG, what I believe is the best SMG, or at least the best all-around SMG in the game, we have the KSV. This thing is really, really good. Once again, using long barrel, but this time, instead of using no stock, I'm going to use the precision foregrip. This is going to allow you to have better recoil and better idle sway. You're going to see this again in a minute. This is actually another really important attachment to use. If you find a weapon you're not hitting your target enough, this is the attachment that you're going to want to use, the precision foregrip. Once again, Extended Mag 1, once again, the Ergonomic grip, and finally, recoil springs. Basically, this SMG has a little bit more recoil, so recoil springs, precision grip is where that comes in. Now, this next one is the TTK king of the SMGs, and that is the Tanto 22. Super slow firing, high damage weapon. You're looking at like a 3-bullet kill up close to a pretty solid range, and we are going to make that range better with the long barrel as well as the Ranger foregrip to improve your horizontal recoil and your sprinting move speed. Great attachment. The Extended Mags 1 as well as the Commando grip on this one for ADS and sprint to fire speed. And then finally, the balanced stock. This is going to improve a bunch of your strafing speed, which is really important with this gun because if you miss a bullet, you're at a huge, huge disadvantage. Now, moving on to what I believe is the best gun in the game. Now, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but man, I love using this thing. It takes a little bit to get used to and is a little bit difficult to use, but it is the DM10. Now, I just want to take a minute and show you something. Up close, 1, 2. Now, here's the thing. I'm not firing that as fast as you actually can. That time to kill isn't just up close. Look at 25 meters. Same exact thing. 2 bullets at that range. And then even beyond that, check this out. At 50 meters, 1, 2, 3. 3 bullets to kill, but it doesn't end there. Because guess what? If you hit 1 body shot and 1 headshot, yeah, 2 bullet kill past 50 meters. The time to kill on this gun is insanity. So what do I use on this? Well, it depends what map I'm on. If I'm on a longer range map, I might use the Kepler red dot, but once again, I do like the Volchevsky or the Kepler mini on this one. Now there's 2 extremely important attachments on this gun. The first of which is the long barrel. This is going to take your maximum effective range. In other words, your 2 bullet kill range without a headshot up into 33 meters. Otherwise, it's at 25 meters, so it extends it by 8 meters. But again, if you're hitting a headshot, it's always going to be a 2 kill, so really, really ridiculous. But I think the most important attachment here is the precision handguard. This improves your horizontal recoil, but more importantly, your aiming idle sway. This weapon has a lot of idle sway, and you need to fix it, so the precision handguard is really one of the only ways to do that. Once again, extended mag 1s and then recoil springs, just to improve it even more. If you have not tried the DM10, you need to. This gun is unbelievable. So just one more time, with those long range weapons, I am using the blue perks. With those short range, faster moving weapons, I am using the red perks. Pretty plain, pretty simple. If you haven't tried these out, definitely try all of these weapons. In my opinion, these are the best 5 classes in the game. And if you disagree, if there's another gun that I missed, let me know down in the comments and maybe I'll cover it in a future video. But for now, at launch, these are the best 5 weapons in the game. Hopefully I was able to help you out, and if I did, hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.
We are reaching for